everyone. Welcome to the Zone to Speak podcast. I'm your host, Juliana. Hey, everyone. At Zone to Speak, I know how important it is to stay healthy, strong, and ready for every ride, workout, or adventure. That's why I have gotten some exclusive discounts on products designed for athletes. First up, Cyc Plus. Their Smart Pump is a game changer. Compact, efficient, and perfect for keeping your tires road and gravel ready. Get 10% off the Smart Pump and 5% off everything else at cyclist.com. They have radar tail light, smart fans, trainers, and more. Next, 35% off Frey Skincare. Their products are specially designed for skin that sweats, perfect for athletes like you and me. I have personally been using Frey for many years and I love it. Then there is 10% off Cold Age. Their vitamins and supplements are designed to fuel your body, helping you recover faster and ride longer. I personally take the women's vitamin and creatine. Finally, 15% off Omra supplements. Whether you're training, recovering, or pushing for peak performance, their high-quality supplements have got you covered. And there's something special from me, your host. As an integrative health, nutrition, and sports nutrition coach, I am thrilled to offer all of our listeners 25% off personalized nutrition coaching with Genki Wellness. If you want to optimize your health, boost performance, or simply feel your best, head to bemoregenki.com and use the code ZONE2SPEAK. For everything else, head to the links in the episode description, use the code ZONE2SPEAK at checkout, and let these amazing products support you and your journey to better health and performance. And now for the episode. Welcome to Zone to Speak. Today, I'm thrilled to welcome the incredible Sherry Cardona, a passionate cyclist, accomplished endurance athlete, and the host of Buzzalong podcast. Sherry has made her mark in the ultra-endurance cycling world with some incredible achievements, including Badlands, a grueling 800 kilometers race through southern Spain, and conquering the Transcontinental Race, an over 4,000 kilometer self-supported adventure across Europe. Her resilience and determination shine through every challenge she takes on, inspiring cyclists around the globe. In this episode, we will dive into Sherry's cycling accomplishments, the stories behind her epic rides, and how she uses her Buzzalong podcast to celebrate the cycling community. From her toughest moments on the bike to her most rewarding adventures, Sherry shares insights into what it takes to thrive in ultra-endurance racing. Get ready for an adventurous conversation with Sherry Cardona.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's really nice to be here.
Thank you, Sherry. Again, I'm starstruck. Been following you. Love your YouTube channel and the podcast. So thank you for making the time to be on Zone to Speak. So you are Colombian. You live in the Netherlands, and you started cycling when you got to the Netherlands. But Colombia is also a birthplace of so many amazing cyclists. Can you tell me a little bit like what brought you to Europe and how you got into cycling?
Yeah, so it's quite a story. So I moved from Colombia to the Canary Islands when I was a child, 9 years old, because my parents got divorced. And but I wasn't into cycling back then. I mean, it's the perfect place for cycling. And then I moved to London to work there, and I met my husband at that time, and he was really into cycling, and I borrowed his bike like 2 sizes bigger than what I would have used. And then I was like, oh, I actually like it. I was really scared at the beginning, to be honest, especially in London with all the traffic. So I was just starting to take the bike, and then it really kicked off when I moved to the Netherlands. Perfect cycling lanes to practice, and it was during the pandemic, so there was nothing to do. So we decided to explore the Netherlands by bike, and then it went on from there.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. So I didn't realize just from the pandemic, about 5 years ago,
Hmm.
and you have conquered so much. Is that your husband that you pair with?
Yeah, indeed. That's why
Okay.
we finished the races. We cannot abandon each other.
Well, you guys make a great team because I saw your record and you guys are number one pair,
Thanks.
I think, in every race.
Hmm.
Incredible. So, what is the dynamic? And because I see the races, and I told you this already on Instagram, you always look so cute and so fresh.
Thanks.
And I don't know how you do it. Tell me, what's the secret?
I think what I've seen in the different races, normally the pairs that make it to the finish line is because they have a really strong connection. They're normally partners or brothers or father and son. So I think it's very tough, not physically but mentally. It's like racing solo. Plus you add the mental challenge of having to not only cope with your pain but the challenges of your partner, being together, the struggles. But it's a very rewarding experience. I think the race is really brought us closer together, and we share so many experiences. Like sometimes in races you are in amazing places, you experience things, but you don't have anybody to share it with. Nobody can understand what you went through. But when you do it together, you laugh after together. Like even the toughest moments, I think, are the ones that we remember the most. Like, oh, you remember when we were hiking over the mountain and we thought we'd never make it out of there. So it's a really rewarding experience, but I think you really have to have a strong bond before deciding to go into pairs racing together.
Yeah, no, I think you said something absolutely right. And it's good to talk to you because I race as a pair. I did solo, I think once or twice, and I didn't enjoy as much exactly because
Hmm.
of the reasons you said. First, it feels good for you to push somebody else that you have a bond with to be like, come on, you can do it, you got this on those lowest moments. But it's so nice to share the good moments as well. It's just also another level of comfort when you are in tough situations. But some people swear they would never do it as a pair and they do so well solo. So it's good to have someone else to talk to that has been through the pair experience.
Yeah, exactly. I think it has is very a very different experience. So I will say the races we decide to do as a pair is not because we want to really compete, it's because we want to have the experience. So we don't take it as a competition, we take it as an experience. So I remember during Transcontinental Race number 1 that I was struggling a lot, and Gary, my husband, kept repeating, "Don't worry, no matter what, it's our adventure together." So that really reassured me, like, okay, it doesn't matter if I'm slow, it's just like it's our adventure, so it doesn't matter the results. But when you are solo, it's more like a challenge. I also like it because it's not, let's say, I still enjoy the experience, but it's more proving to myself that I can do something, especially things that scare me. It feels so rewarding when you overcome challenges. And I think sometimes it's good if you're planning to do races together to first test your limits by yourself. So, okay, if you're feeling bad, it's not your partner's fault. It's like, okay, I experienced that before, even solo. So, how to cope with it. So it's good to find your strengths alone to first, and then because it adds challenges, then maybe try racing as a pair.
Yeah, that's a very good point to know yourself, know what works, know what doesn't work, your weaknesses. Yeah, yeah, I think I had that feeling once I went solo on Badlands, not the race, but I did the rally.
Mm.
And yeah, that was exactly my feeling. I felt really accomplished because I did everything by myself. And I'm like, okay, maybe I can do this solo, but I do just prefer to have,
Yeah.
someone with me. And Juliet Elliott, she's been on your podcast and we
Hmm.
partner. Um, and we're going to partner this year in a couple of things. But our first time together, we we didn't have this bond. We met each other on one race and we're like, oh, let's do
Mhm.
this together. And we were both like, we're going to be best friends or never talk again after
Yeah,
this.
that's normally the case.
But she has a little bit of the mentality, like you said, from your husband, where it's always positive. It's always like, this is our adventure. Forget everything else. And it's good when you find that chemistry with a partner,
Mhm.
and also someone that is always positive makes a big difference.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, but you guys go for the adventure, but you finish first. I have here, well, Badlands, you did solo. You did really well as well. It was a very strong group of women in
Yeah.
2024. But you did as a pair Transcontinental, twice, Transiberica, Be Hard Ultra Race. So, and you're doing Transcontinental again, right? This year?
No, no, no. I'm
No?
actually, I'm doing Transiberica solo. Actually, I'm
Ooh,
coming back, but solo. I think there was an unfinished chapter. It's a really nice event, and I really enjoy it as a pair. But I think it's an event that suits me as a solo rider. So I'm very excited. It's also shorter than the edition I did. The edition I did was double the distance, and this
wow.
time is going through some really like iconic places, and I
Hmm.
had them in my bucket list, but I know I wouldn't do it outside a race. It's like, I'm not going to to this pass outside a race. But when you are in the moment, it's like, okay, let's do it. So I thought would be a nice change this year. They're also doing a lot of initiatives to support women and bring more women into ultra cycling, adventure cycling. So I think it's really cool what they do there.
That's great. Yeah, it's great to see more and more races trying to get more women on the start line. I'm doing Gravel Birds, which it's
Oh,
shorter.
nice.
It's 750 kilometers in Portugal, but they also really wanted to get more women there, and they were waiting for all registration to try to see if they could have equal number. So
Oh,
it's good to
that's really
also,
cool.
yeah. Yeah, I don't think they have equal numbers, but it's getting closer, and it's great. And you said about maybe exploring South America. Do you think that will come on the calendar anytime soon?
Well, that's really in my bucket list. I'm from Colombia, but I will say one of the most remarkable things is that I discovered more of my own country, my own culture on a trip with my husband there by bike than in my whole like 10 years there. So it was really nice to, because by bike you are exploring places you wouldn't go otherwise, and you are, when you are self-supported, like bikepacking or doing a ultra event, you are forced to interact with the locals, understand the culture. So that really is an aspect that I love about this kind of events and the sport. And I would like to explore more South America. Maybe in my bucket list is definitely like the Carreteras Austral, the
Oh
one that goes
yeah,
to
through
Patagonia.
Chile. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's definitely something I want to do, depending of our schedule and work. If we can make it maybe next year or the following one, it would be something super cool to do. And maybe exploring other countries like Brazil, Peru. All depends on time, really.
yeah, I know. We all want to do so many things. We have
Hmm.
to conquer little by little. But let me know if you go to Brazil. Let me know.
I will let you know. Yeah, definitely a very beautiful country. There's also some ultra events happening there.
Yeah, it's growing. My husband and I just went. We did the Biking Man Brazil. I didn't
Hmm.
finish, but we're thinking about coming back this year. It's still in the area. They are changing locations. They're going further south with different vegetation and also calmer. Um, should be a good one to explore as well.
Hmm.
And in Colombia, were you in adventure or you did the Transcordilleras?
We were just doing our own adventure, but we actually
Nice.
did parts of the route of Transcordilleras because it passed through my area, the Quindío area, which is the coffee region. So it has like it's in the middle of the Cordilleras. So they actually went to one of the high passes in the area, and we did part of the route. I think it's beautiful. It's like so many landscapes, and it changes so much from rainforest to unique ecosystems, and then flatlands is like you find everything there. And it's so nice to go to these remote villages. For example, something I really appreciate, when I was growing up in Colombia, there were places you couldn't go because it was maybe not as safe, and now you can go there and explore by bike, and I felt so fortunate to be able to do that. It's like going to you feel like an adventure, or like going to new places and everything, so it's really nice.
Yeah, it's on my bucket list as well. So hopefully I get there one day.
Yeah, definitely, I think it's a hidden gem.
It is for sure. Yeah. It's beautiful, beautiful country. I really want to go.
Hmm.
So tell me, let's talk about the podcast. What was the inspiration? Because, or I don't know which, I think you had already the YouTube, then you started a podcast. How did that start?
Yeah, I think it's because of ultra cycling. I think what I enjoy the most about the ultra races is the community. So you meet all these amazing people, and they have such crazy stories sometimes, because everything can happen in ultra races. So I was doing the YouTube videos and I could share my experience, but I found it difficult to share through the videos somebody else's experiences or somebody else's stories. So they were like the untold stories, let's say. So I decided, okay, it would be cool to invite them to something like a podcast where we can share the stories, and in their own terms, and they can yeah, interact with the audience. And I already had the YouTube channel, so I decided to go for it, but also doing some things that might be interesting for the audience. I do my research on nutrition, on gear, or with people from the industry. So I thought it would be nice to share also this knowledge.
Oh, no, you're doing an incredible job. I love it. So keep going.
Okay.
Both YouTube and the Buzzalong. Um, and the Buzzalong, you also have the Buzzalong coffee.
Yeah, indeed. That's from because I'm from the coffee region of Colombia. So I decided to do, after that trip, I wanted to do something that brought me closer to my country, my culture, because as I grew up abroad, sometimes it's difficult to find your identity, let's say, because every time I go to Colombia, people ask me where I'm from. Every time I'm in Spain, people ask me where I'm from. So it's kind of a way to connect more with your roots, because I've been living nearly all my life abroad. So it was nice to explore, go to the fincas where they produce the coffee, and get to know my area, also the history. And yeah, it's a way also to show people, look, there is something great from Colombia, coffee, and also link it up with cycling. So people, if they want, they can visit the farms where I went, and there's links in the video. So also a way to encourage people maybe to explore the area.
Amazing. I love that because, so many people now, younger, your generation and younger than you, like my daughter, for example, are so international. There's so many international families, and there is this question, where am I from?
Hmm.
So it's good that you're creating that connection and sharing with all of us. So that's great.
Yeah, I think yeah, sometimes it's something also I like from ultra cycling. Sometimes it's hard to feel where you belong, and in ultra cycling, everybody's so different that it's not like in other parts of the sport where like road racing is like the same kid or the same. In ultra cycling is like you can be everything you want, and you have the freedom to be who you want and explore new places. So I think that's something I really like. You feel like you belong without having to change who you are.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said better.
Mhm.
I think that's one of the beauties of our community. I think everyone is welcome. You can be whoever you are, and you're always going to be celebrated, and you can
Mhm.
just enjoy, yourself, who you are, and your bike.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Any impactful episodes that you remember from Buzz Along that stayed with you, or moments?
Yeah, I think there's a famous moment in one of the Transcontinental videos, the "It's over" moment. It's like I think that's been one of the most challenging parts I had in cycling. Like just being out in the middle of nowhere, not knowing if I will get out of there for hours. I think I really had to like convince myself to keep on going. And but after, it made me stronger. Like then it kind of sparked this desire to explore off road. Funny enough, I thought I was like, I will never do this again. And then I started doing off road races, and I really enjoyed them. And then I look back, and it was like, okay, it's not that I didn't enjoy the place, it was that I was not in the right mindset. But then those are the moments that really have an impact on you, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, it's so good to see those moments because just looking at your results and coming first, and you don't think someone like you would have moments of like, I don't want to continue, I don't want to do this anymore. And how do you overcome those challenges? Whether if it's physical or mental or logistical, how do you overcome those challenges and go back to, okay, no, I'm not gonna scratch, I'm gonna continue.
Yeah, I think sometimes I can get competitive, but for me, races are not races, are adventures. So I always like to feel like an explorer, and I always remind myself how lucky I am. Like coming from Colombia, sometimes you don't have the opportunities to travel as much as here in Europe, for example. So I have this freedom to go and explore all these places. So when I am in a bad moment, I just remind myself how lucky I am to be there. That is my choice to do this event, and
True.
no matter what, I will find a way. So worst case, you just make it, you start by packing it, or you take however long you need. So for me, it's always about like, okay, reach the finish line, enjoy the adventure no matter what. And then you are a winner already when you reach the finish line of this kind of events. So that's always what I tell myself: just try to enjoy, and you are lucky to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. I need to overcome that. I have had a few DNFs, and I'm getting better at it, of like taking more time before making that hard decision. So hopefully I'll grow as a cyclist as well. But having, seeing moments like those of you struggling are helpful because
Yeah, I think that is what I wanted to share. When I started cycling, I didn't see, I saw a lot of people that seemed like they were pros and they had everything under control. And I was like feeling a bit frustrated. It's like nobody falls, nobody not know how to change a tire,
yeah.
nobody cries. Am I the only one? So I wanted to share, like, what is really like for me. And if somebody else has these struggles, to know that it's okay, you can overcome it, or not, there will be another chance. So just knowing that you are not alone there is really helpful, just to find also some tips and ways to cope with it. And for example, as a beginner cyclist, I never thought I would be able to do these kind of events. So it's really rewarding when people write me, oh, I sign up for this race because of your video. So it's like, okay, it's nice, you see that you don't need to be a superhuman to do these kind of events. You can do it on your own terms.
Yeah. 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 So keep on sharing with us. So one question I usually ask so many people, especially high performers like yourself, how do you manage this sleep? Because to come first, you're not taking a lot of breaks.
Yeah, I think there's different sleep strategies. There's people that sleep less and maybe go slower, because you also, your body doesn't have time to recover. So they just keep on going. They are super efficient. I try to be efficient during the day, so not many breaks, or not sit down for lunch or anything. But I like to take my 4 hours of sleep if I can, or if I can sleep in hotels, I find is better for recovery for me. I did sleep outside in the first Transcontinental, and then everything went south. So I realized it doesn't work for me, because I started to get saddle sores from not from the hygiene of not sleeping in a hotel for like 2 days, that I couldn't take a shower or anything, or I didn't sleep, I didn't recover. So I found that for me, sleeping in a hotel works better. But of course, there's races like now I'm preparing for Atlas Mountain Race that you cannot sleep in a hotel there. So it would be, I think, quite a challenge for me. Also, an experience to force myself to sleep outside. So let's see how it goes. So it depends what works for you. For some people, sleeping outside works really well and they can recover. But I find personally for me, I prefer to invest the time and stay in a hotel and get some proper recovery and just earn the time during the day. So not stop for lunch, not stop off the bike if necessary, just resupply and try to be as efficient as possible. And actually, I end up riding faster when I sleep in, when I get a good recovery than when I just sleep outside and don't recover as well.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I hear this more and more. Unless it's a race that you can do it in 2 days, 48, 55 hours, and
Hmm.
it's someone that can manage no sleep, fine. But if it's something longer, I think you do need the sleep. And I also need at least 3, 4 hours. And that makes sense on just trying to be more efficient then, if you're going to take that big break to sleep and just try to be more efficient during the day of non-stopping, just keep on feeling and keep going.
Yeah, it's very interesting what you say. Is, for example, Badlands is quite a tricky one because a lot of people do it without sleep. But I was looking at the race statistics, and actually, I stopped to sleep like 4 hours on the second night, and everybody that overtook me when I was sleeping, I overtook them back during the day because I was much more recovered. I was looking, I was like everybody, so it was super. Interesting to see, like just because you are recovered, then you see people stopping in cafes or on the side of the road and you just keep on riding, more energized. And I must say, I enjoyed much more the event by having these 4 hours of sleep. I was super energized when I reached the finish line.
Yeah, yeah. And also the other thing, at least for me, I mean, I'm not chasing top spots, but I also want to see as much as I can. If you sleep 4 hours, you're still going to be riding in the dark, but you at least see more than not stopping at all. You have, I don't know, depending where you are in the world, 6 to 10 hours of darkness. But I agree, if you get a little bit of sleep, you can perform better. I try not sleeping one, actually did not try. Was planning to try to not
Yeah.
sleep to see, but when I got to CP1, it was 11 p.m., 270 kilometers, and I was just like, I feel that if I could continue, but I feel like if I continue, I think once I stop, I'm going to have to sleep 10 hours. And it's just
Yeah.
going to defeat the purpose of not sleeping. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I think you need to know yourself and see what it works for you.
Yeah, and actually, what I find during races, there's certain like a sweet spot. 4 hours is good because your
Yeah.
body recovers, your mind recovers, but you don't enter into recovery mode. The problem is if you sleep 8, 9 hours during a race, then your body goes, oops, it's recovery time. So then your body shuts down and is actually sometimes worse.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's how I feel if I stop and have a big lunch and sit down, game over. Then I'm going to need 2 hours.
Yeah,
And if I just
exactly.
grab something and can keep going, it's
Hmm.
ideal, but not every time you can do that. But yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. There's so many aspects of these kind of events. Like it's not all about like power. It's your efficiency, strategy. Sometimes route planning, like in Transcontinental, it can make all the difference in the world.
Oh my God, I'm terrified of route planning. I need to explore that. If
Yeah.
I'm alone, I'm okay-ish, but I'm always afraid if I'm with someone, I'm responsible for the route, and then we're going to be bushwhacking or, hiking a bike for too long or something wrong is going to happen.
That happened to me in the second Transcontinental because my husband was really busy with work. I took more charge of the route planning, and in the first part we messed up the GPX and we end up going the wrong direction
Oh,
and
I saw
hiking over
that.
a
You ended up in
mountain.
France.
Yeah, and I was blaming myself. He was like, "Oh, so stupid. Why
Oh.
did I mix the GPX?" And then we hike unnecessarily. We didn't film it, but we hike unnecessarily through a horrible road in Germany, and you could just take in the the big main road, and I was like just blaming myself. It's quite hard, yeah, when you, if you're alone, you said, whatever.
Yeah. If
But
you're alone, it's like, okay, this sucks, but I'll get through it. But when you
yeah,
are bringing someone with you, it's like, oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
I had those moments, but at the end, we made it there.
Good. Yeah. And what's one of your most memorable races or bike rides? I mean, you've been so many places. I mean, one of my bucket list destination you've done, which is not Taiwan. You saw Taiwan as well, but Japan. I would love to go there. I mean, you've been all over Europe. What's like your top destination?
Top destination is hard to say, but I will say I think among them is like Taiwan, because I didn't know much about it besides Taiwan KOM, and then I was blown away completely by how amazing the roads are. The people are super friendly, the infrastructure. I mean, I never had cars that are so respectful. They will wait an hour behind you instead of
Really?
overtaking you and cheer you on as you go up the mountain. I was like, whoa, that's a change. And everybody
Wow.
made such an effort, like to speak to you, to, to introduce you to the culture. It was like really, I was blown away, because I thought it was just the Taiwan KOM and that's it. But the whole island is so beautiful. And I think, yeah, probably Taiwan. One of my epic moments, I think, because also this element of surprise. I really like when you don't know anything about the
Me
place and all
too.
of the sudden it's like, wow. Like, for example, when we reached Turkey during TCR, I mean, I actually thought it would be tougher, and it was super nice. I just felt like going into a movie. All of a sudden, we were on the top of a gravel climb, and the whole ocean opened up on the sunset, and there was like some music playing, and I was like, wow, this feels like a movie, like surreal. So, and then the gravel roads in Turkey were really nice, and the people in the villages were super friendly. It was really a contrast from my experience as a tourist in Istanbul. It was completely different. It was like a complete different country. So that's something also I love about the bike. You really learn, because as a tourist you are in your own bubble. You go to the same places as everybody else, and you don't really interact with the locals much. You just there with your friends and you just stay in your bubble. But when you cycle through a country, you really get to see the real country, you meet the real people. So that's something I really enjoy.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I love about the bike packing or ultra races, because you really are immersed in the country and the culture.
Hmm.
And good to know about Turkey. I'm planning a bikepacking trip there this year with Juliet, and I'm terrified because I'm
Ah.
responsible for the route. So
Yeah, I would
hopefully I'll
say,
get it right.
if I was to ride there, I would go on gravel. They have such a nice gravel roads. I mean, it's not like patches of land that you patch together to make a gravel route like in some other countries. There is like country roads, so it leads
Hmm.
somewhere and you can link them up. And it was so nice. It was just a pity that I was on a road bike. I was like, if I was on a gravel bike, I will enjoy it.
Oh, nice. No, we're
For sure.
planning on taking the gravel bikes. I was just
Ah,
researching to see if the terrain was too hard and needed mountain bike, and I don't mountain bike, so
yeah. No,
that's good to know.
I think gravel bike is good. It's like gravel roads a bit. Sometimes it can be more chunky, but most of the time it's quite good.
Awesome. And the joys and challenges. We talked a little bit, but maybe we can unpack a little bit more the joys and challenges between solo versus pair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think solo, the good thing is that sometimes you can just completely disconnect. I think,
Mm.
and for example, I really enjoyed in off-road races, because my husband, he's really good off-road and I cannot keep up. So sometimes I feel the pressure, it's like I don't feel comfortable doing that descent. I'd rather walk it. But because there's somebody there with you, you feel like it's like, okay, I have to go downhill, but maybe I'm not comfortable. So in the solo races I did, like Bohemian Border Bash or Badlands, I was like, no, I don't want to do this. So I just walked down the descent, and I could learn on my own terms. Then slowly I started to gain confidence, and I started doing some of descents that scare me. just because I was tired, and I was like, okay, let's just roll with it. I think tiredness makes you overcome your fears sometimes, because you're just so tired that you're just okay. If it rolls, let's go.
That's
uh,
true.
I think that's one of the good things you learn about yourself, and you can overcome the challenges on your own terms. And also, it's quite like a meditation, so sometimes you can just disconnect from everything, and you hear the sounds of nature and your music, or you just have so much time to like just be there in the moment without worrying about anything else. It's quite nice, so you don't have to talk with anybody or anything. And yeah, I think it's really like so searching. I will say you realize things about your personality or yourself you didn't know about. So it's good in these terms. But what I was saying as a bear is an added challenge. I think a lot of the times I hear people saying, oh, people racing pairs because they are weak. No, you actually have to be stronger. I mean, that's why a lot of the pairs don't even reach the finish line, because you have to not only be physically strong but also mentally, because it's not just dealing with your pain, your challenges, but the other one, and understanding, putting yourself, when you are in pain, you go for self-preserving. So you always, in, you are in pain or difficult situation, you are in the survival mode. So first thing, you think about yourself, and then you have
Yeah.
to think about another person, like, okay, I'm not gonna be mad at this person for going slower. So then, on top of that, you are in an extreme situation, and you have to think about the other person, how to help them, what can I do. So you have to almost forget about you as a person, and just think about, there's no me as a person, there's no Sherry, there's only the team, because that's how you will overcome these challenges. So you have to, I always think, I cannot leave my arm behind, even if it's painful. So it's the same. It's like you cannot leave your partner behind, no matter what. So I think that that's one of the main challenges. But the rewards, and as we were discussing, is as you have somebody who is there to support you or to share the experience, and that is priceless for me.
Yeah, I like what you said about, the team spirit. It's not Sherry anymore. It's us, and you can leave without your arm behind. I
Yeah, and
also love what you said. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I think you need to establish certain rules before starting. So you have to say, for example, second TCR, I say, I'm not doing it again if we don't sleep every single night in a hotel. And he kept the promise. So, or your promise is like, okay, you can push me, just if I stay 5 minutes too long in a gas station, you can start pushing me. Or yeah, I think it's good when you have certain rules pre-established, so it's not a surprise in the middle of the race.
Absolutely. That's another very good point. Yeah. I think it's important to have a few rules set out, as well as, maybe be open about some of the way you ride. Like, I get very quiet when I ride.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time it's just because I'm also controlling my breath because I have asthma. And
Mm-hmm.
I always say, listen, I am quiet. It's not personal. So I think those characters risks, it's good to discuss as well, just so you
Mm-hmm.
don't get weirded out, especially when you get to low points or you're tired. You don't want to have those conversations at that those moments.
Yeah. Yeah, that can be tricky. Then a lot of emotions comes out. I mean, sometimes even in my solo races, I just like, I don't know, I start crying. It's like I see a sunset and I start crying.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you sometimes like, I don't know, there's emotions that surface that you cannot control.
Yeah, I saw one of your videos. I think actually was the TCR as well, that you're like, I'm getting to Greece and I'm crying. I don't know why. I'm just crying. I'm arriving in Greece.
Yeah, it was like, I don't know, it was because we were coming back into a place I knew was familiar to me. So it was like, I just felt so happy. I was even
Yeah.
greeting the police. It's like, Greece, Greece. And the policemen, the border, were looking at me like I was crazy. But they've seen many crazy people before me. So
Yeah, good. Um, Moving on to cycling trends and gear, what is one of your favorite cycling gears or tech piece that you can't live without?
Oh, that's an interesting one. Well, I think one I just discovered was the drop bar mountain bike. That's maybe my favorite cycling trend. I've been just testing it in Spain, and I was like, "Wow, that's so nice." People think sometimes it's a weird concept, but when you have like some off-road areas and also a mix of like light gravel, it's quite nice to have different positions and something that is more. Closer to your gravel bike. I found it really nice, but then you can just go over like big stones and everything, and maybe more technical descents with it with the suspension. So I thought that was like, oh, it was a concept I didn't know much about, and then I wanted to try it, and it turned out I really like it. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. I saw a couple as well and I want to try. I haven't tried, but it looks like it makes the ride much comfortable.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes, if it's not like a smooth gravel or you have a lot of mix or off road, sometimes it's even more enjoyable. I was like, "Whoa, this is quite nice," especially when you get into unknown areas. Just having the flexibility of take whatever trail path you find is really nice.
Yeah. How about new trends in cycling? Anything you're excited about or expectful of? Skeptical of?
Excited about. I think more aero gear tailored to long distance. I think sometimes people think because you doing the long races you don't need to be aero or the aero doesn't matter. So there's not many things tailored to this, and I saw this. I don't know if you've seen it, the Decathlon concept bike. It has even an aero shield and
Oh, yeah,
everything.
yeah,
So you
yeah.
see that brands are looking more into this, and for me it's really something really important because what people underestimate is when you don't have power, you don't have energy, it gives you passive speed. If you have
Yes.
a headwind, it's like, okay, I'm not doing any extra effort and I'm going faster. And it counts over like thousands of kilometers. It really makes a difference. I notice it in some of my races, especially also off-road gravel. People were telling me, oh, why taking aero bars in Badlands? But not only gives you the aero advantage, but also positions for your hands. Sometimes my hands were so numb that I was like, okay, just resting there on the tarmac sections and just like rolling, because sometimes you run out of gear. So if you can get into aero position, you can save some time there. So I'm really excited to see these new developments, like the performance gear. Hmm.
Yeah, every little bit counts.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
skeptical, maybe. Now with the drop bar, I think the suspension on the gravel bikes. I don't know what to think about. It's like kind of why would you go for that instead of a mountain bike? I think so. If it's that technical, I think a mountain bike will make more sense in this regard. So
Yeah.
there's where I have a bit of mixed thoughts in like a lot of the gravel bikes are nearly like mountain bikes with the suspension fork with the dropper post, but then you have more advantages with a mountain bike. So
Yeah.
that's something I may be a bit more skeptical. If you go for gravel, it's like yeah, you want the speed of that bike and you are able to handle it, or the terrain is suitable for that. But if it gets that rough, maybe it's better to go for a mountain bike.
Yeah. That's exactly how I thought, but I didn't want to sound stupid. But I also thought, like, okay, if you're getting all this, why just don't get a mountain bike? What's the point?
Yeah, yeah. You see, even in Badlands, there were more people also racing mountain bikes. And I think, to be honest, I would have been, now with my experience cycling in Spain, I think I would have been faster in a drop bar mountain bike, because there were so many descents I walked that I could just have rolled. And with the new mountain bikes are so light that you don't really lose much in terms of weight. And then
Yeah.
drop bars, you can still go fast.
Yeah. Yeah. Any funny or most unexpected thing that's happened on a ride?
Oh, unexpected. I think, yeah, the most unexpected thing was our first race as a pair, Transiberica. we decided to take a shortcut through the Pyrenees and end up in a hiking trail for like 3-4 hours. I mean,
No.
we thought it was like, oh, everybody's gonna do it. That's a no-brainer. And then we started hiking, and we didn't see any tire tracks or anything. It's like, then we found out after that we were the first ones doing it. And it was like, took so long, and I was like, we're like, how do we get out of here? You know, when you are too deep to go back. So, and you are like at the same time, like, what do I do now? So you just the only option is to keep on pushing. And it was actually, yeah, one of the most binding moments of our races. We cried at the top of the mountain when we made it out. It was like a hallelujah type of experience.
Yeah, I'm sure when you saw a road, you're like
Yeah.
jumping for
Yeah.
happiness.
Yeah, especially I think when you get the experience, it doesn't impact you as much. But when it's your first race, it's really like, whoa, it really hits you. It's like the first Transcontinental. It was so hard for me. Like I don't know how I managed to finish it, because everything was so overwhelming, like mentally, physically. And the second time, it was like we actually end up in the same place. We went also fast, but we took it easier, and just the experience, I didn't have the anxiety, I knew it's
Mm.
like, okay, we took a wrong turn, okay, we will make up for it, we will find a way, or the checkpoint is there, let's make sure we mark everything. So you know what to do in these kinds of situation. Border crossings can be very stressful, so once you've done it a few times, then you know how it works, what to expect. So there were things that really were really overwhelming, because there were a lot of logistical challenges in the first one, and then the second one, because I had the experience, I was not as worried anymore. I was like, just like, oh well, we will fix it.
It gets easier for sure. Yeah. But you
Mhm.
said the border crossing, and I didn't even think about that because a friend of mine, he did the TCR. He's Brazilian, and he said it was such a logistical nightmare, if you will, just getting visas as well to
Mhm.
get into all these other countries. So yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, I think we were always really stressed. I think that's why I was so happy when I reached Greece. It's like no more visas, no more border crosses, because we were racing for the opening time. So the border crossings was just like hoping that we
Oh,
will
that's
not have
right.
any problems, because sometimes it can be a bit tricky. So especially late at night. So I was like always like every time we were like after a border crossing, I was like, check, just 4 more to go.
Yeah, there's so much logistics that you don't know until you're in it and then
Hmm.
start to get experience. Absolutely.
Yeah, indeed.
And looking ahead, what you talked about Atlas Mountains in Morocco, that you're going to be part of it, Transiberica solo, any other goals or projects for 2025?
Yeah, I think I want to do some like shorter road races, not far from here. So I'm doing Utrecht Ultra here in the Netherlands in May, just to prepare a bit. And it's a really cool event. The community is really nice. And then race across Belgium. It's also like something a bit more local and a really nice experience. And maybe, I don't know if I have time, another race, but I'm not sure. I would like also to go more into bikepacking, because we realize together we enjoy more bikepacking because we don't have the arguments of the race. And to be honest, a lot of the ultra races as a pair, we take it more competitive bikepacking. So why not enjoy it in bikepacking? Because I feel sometimes you rush through places, as you said, you don't see them. And there were like places where I stayed, or places where I passed by. I was like, really, that's a pity that I cannot like just take a few moments and just enjoy this coffee, enjoy this place, have a look at the view. So that's why I wanna do more like bikepacking in places I really want to visit, and really enjoy the full experience and take my time.
Yeah, yeah, I really enjoy the bikepacking as well, and that's my plan for this year.
Yeah.
It's nice to have, for me, it's nice to have a race that the route is planned and I can
Hmm.
just show up and then meet like-minded people. But yeah, the bikepacking, it's so nice. Like you said, you just stop when you want most of the time and enjoy a little bit more. It's a different type of enjoyment. The races are also enjoyable, but it's different.
Yeah, it's like type 2 fun, you enjoy it after.
Type 2.
Yeah, when looking back, I think it's also nice, as you said, the races, because you have sometimes, if it's a race course in an unknown place. So that's the main reason why I signed up for Atlas Mountain Race. I wanted to go bikepacking, but there was not much information, so I wasn't sure where to go. And you procrastinate. It's like, I don't find routes, I don't know what to do, so you never end up doing it. So that's why I decided to sign up for the race. It's like, okay, I just sign up and I do it, and I go to these places no matter what. So it's a good way to explore, because it's the same as in Turkey. I went there as a tourist, and I think I didn't grasp what it's really about, the culture, the people. I was just, again, in my bubble. You just go to a resort and that's it. You don't see much of the country. I'm watching the videos of Atlas Mountain Race, like, wow, I didn't see any of that. It's like, I would love to go there.
Yeah, it'll be amazing. I'm excited to dot watch you on that race.
I think it will be an interesting one.
Are you doing solo that one, or with your husband?
Solo. Yeah, okay. We don't do off-road races together because it's just like, it doesn't make sense.
Different skills, yeah.
Yeah, they are. I think on road you can compensate a lot. You can draft, or you can wait, or it's easier. You don't lose as much time. But the off-road, the gaps just get too big.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I paired with my husband once, and it was good. I would like to do it again. It pushes me, and it slows him down. But it's good for me. But it was all road.
Yeah. Yeah, during the first TCR, my husband told me he had so much time to film. That's why there was a lot of footage for the film. I mean, I was like, the second TCR, he was suffering more because we didn't get a bike fit and he got saddle sore, so he didn't film as much. And I was like, hey, you didn't film as much. The previous one, he did drive-bys and everything.
Wow.
Close-up of flowers and everything, because he had so much time. It's like, oh, you also got better at descending, so I don't have to wait as long.
Nice. Yeah, that's actually also a perk I have, that once we're together, he will go, I'm so much slower, so he stops on the front, takes drive-bys, takes pictures, and I'm dying. Oh, wonderful, Sherry. Anything else would you like to share with us about anything coming up on the podcast or on the YouTube channel?
So I want to, as I said, I want to focus more on trips. So I will be sharing more trips and guides. So a lot of people ask me about my routes on Komoot, so I will share more of that, of the whole experience. For example, I went to Spain, to Castellón, Benicàssim, and then Girona. So there will be a video about it, and the trips and everything. Something more like I think I want to also do something that is more like daily life content, so closer to what happens, what I do to prepare for the races, etc. So it's not like just the races, but the whole journey.
Oh, that would be fun.
So I'm really excited about that. Something new to try out. And on the podcast, continue doing interviews with interesting people in the world of cycling, and maybe sharing more the questions of the people, a bit of feedback, etc. So engaging more with the community.
That sounds cool. I like that idea. Well, I'll share with everyone on the podcast episode description your website, the podcast, and the YouTube channel, and your Instagram. And I want to thank you so much for taking time of your day to share here on Zone to Speak.
Thank you so much. It's been great.
And that's all for today's episode. I want to thank the listeners for tuning in. Your support means everything. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider following, leaving a review, and sharing it with your friends.